Welcome to the Short Men Only podcast with me, your host, your boy, your friend, Jalal Wilson. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm doing great. I was looking forward to this show because I just had so many revelations this week that I just felt like, man, I'm excited to get on here and share some of the things that, were just interesting to me this week that really had an impact on me, my life, and just how I look at things. And it's just crazy because I think there's so many different actually, let me say this first. I was thinking about, as I come into these podcasts, I like to tell you guys my mindset, my frame. The song that I was listening to today was the DJ Khaled, "I'm the One." That song, man, it really fired me up for this podcast because I think a lot of times in life we look at ourselves and feel like we're not the one. We don't have what it takes. We're not enough. We're all these things, right? And just listening to that song just had me today just fired up and helped remind me that I am the one. And if not me, then who? And it's the same thing for you. If not you, then who? And I think we overestimate what the abilities and why somebody else should be able to do something, and we tend to talk down on ourselves and why we don't have the ability to do whatever it is, XYZ, you name it. And especially for us short men, because a lot of things will tie to our height that really don't have anything to do with our height. As we've talked about so far extensively on this podcast, just trying to dispel these thoughts, these motives, these beliefs that we have in our mind that really aren't reality. They're just the reality, the constructs that we've created in our brain. So today we're going to talk about something that I think is, kind of was the thing for me this week, because we tend to think we know things, but what I'm finding out is we generally don't know as much as we think we know. So the quote that I'm going to go with today is by Brene Brown, and it says, "Talk to yourself like you would someone you love." And I think that that's an important thing to do, to talk to ourselves like we are someone we love, because a lot of times we don't talk to ourselves like we're someone we love. And how this plays out and how you can tell this is because just think about the chatter that goes on in your mind, the chatter that you hear on a day-to-day basis that, that affects how you view the world. I was thinking about a situation that I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were telling me, and this person is older than me, so I would probably put him in his, I don't know, early 50s maybe. And he said something interesting. He said that he still feels insecure about the fact that he wears glasses, and it stemmed from when he was made fun of about glasses when he was a little kid. Now think about that. That, something things people say, if when we are not compassionate with ourselves, we carry them. We carry them almost as like backpacks around. And we got these backpacks on our backs, and we're just carrying them. And as we go through life, we're just collecting stuff. And then the more we collect, the more we collect in that backpack, the more we start to, feel weighed down. And the more we feel weighed down, we start to think less of ourselves. And so I thought that was interesting because I totally understood where he was coming from, but it kind of was one of those things where I took a self-compassion test a couple days, actually earlier yesterday. I took a self-compassion test, and it was interesting because I thought that you go through life thinking that you have certain things figured out, and you have them kind of worked out, and you think you kind of on the road, you know where you're going, which all of that, right? Well, one of the things, and I'll get into my results a little later because they're a little confusing to understand, but I will leave the link in the description for this self-compassion test. It's free. It's only about 25 questions, and I think it's worth taking to see where you score. I'm going to tell you a couple questions that were on this self-compassion test. One of them was, when I'm going through a very hard time, I give myself the caring and tenderness I need. Another one is, when I'm feeling down, I tend to feel like most other people are probably happier than I am. Third one is, when something painful happens, I try to take a balanced view of the situation. Now, just those three questions alone, I didn't have great answers for, and it was just it really surprised me after I went back and thought about it, because I think when you do these tests, you have to be like completely honest, right? Because you want to feel like you're trying to get to the bottom of things, but you can't get to the bottom of it unless you're being honest. And you're like, I know, maybe I should have started here. Let's define what is self-compassion. It's an attitude of generosity, honesty, and kindness towards oneself. See, one of the key words was honesty, and that's why I had to be honest with what my true thoughts were when I took this test. Now, in a few of these, I wanted to mark higher because I knew that my score was going to be terrible based on some of my markings. But the truth was the truth. And so that I thought that was the interesting thing. And I was starting to think to myself, like, why don't, like in my life, why don't I have compassion for myself? And I think there are a few different things. One of the reasons why I feel like I am not where I want to be on that self-compassion scale is because I think I tend to look at my past failures and allow them to define who I am in the present. So I'll make a mistake in some portion or period of my life and then carry it with me in my backpack like it is like it defines me now. Like it represents who I am now. And so with that comes this weight that I'm carrying. And so every time I look in the mirror, you're looking in the mirror with the person who is almost hunched over from the weight. So it's hard to see yourself clearly looking straight and be hunched over at the same time. And so I carry those things. So anytime something happens, I don't get as far as I wanted to on a particular thing, or the project doesn't work out the way I thought it should. All that stuff just keeps piling on top of all the other things in the backpack. And this backpack is, just keeps getting heavier and heavier. And so it's like, when that happens, it is hard to be compassionate, generous, and honest and kind towards yourself because you feel the weight. You feel all this weight you're carrying. And I feel like that has been my biggest, issue with this is why why I've struggled to be compassionate with myself. And I think about this in the context of, not only myself, but there's so many of us short men too, who also are struggling with self-compassion because, like someone told me, because I'm short, I'm not good enough for this, or I'm not good enough for that. And I know you've been told the same thing. And so we take that person's opinion, and then we carry it with us. We apply it to all areas of our lives, when in reality, it was just one person's opinion. And we do ourselves a disservice when we carry that opinion with us throughout our lives, because it's almost like, giving someone the power to dictate a future that they have no part of. That is essentially what we're doing when we allow these people to make these marks on us. Like give us these things to put in our backpack. We're giving them the power to dictate something they're not even going to be a part of. And that is a huge issue. It is a huge mistake for us as short men when we allow people to do that just because they have an opinion based on our height. It's almost like in those moments, and it's for me too, it's almost like in those moments we forget that this person's opinion, one, it doesn't matter, and it should never hold more weight than our own opinions of ourselves. But when we're low on the self-compassion for ourselves, even that opinion is low. But we don't have to stay there. I think part of it is just understanding, part of life really is just understanding that your job, my job, is to keep putting this mirror in front of us, figuring out where there's some discrepancies from where we are now to where we want to be, and then doing the work to change it. So for me, it was realizing that, okay, I am not as self-compassionate as I would like to be, because that is something that, one, I didn't even know that I wasn't self-compassionate. I didn't know that I didn't really have compassion for myself until I put myself in a position to take the test and find out, look at some of these answers and see what some of this stuff means, right? We just carry stuff. We don't even address it. We just carry it. And we have to stop doing that. And a framework for how we can be more compassionate for ourselves, especially when it comes to if we make a mistake and we do something that we're not proud of in life, instead of putting it in our backpack, we can use this framework. Now, I got this framework from a mentor of mine, and there's 4 steps to this process. The first one is when you mess up, right? That's the first thing. To start this process is you messed up, right? The next thing in this process is you fess up. Now, you've messed up and you fess up, whether it be just to yourself that, hey, I just made this mistake and I know I'm better than this. I need to do better. Or maybe it be to another person. And the reason why that is important is so that it can't be held over your head. Because once you've owned it, no one can control you with it. Right? So after we have messed up, we have fessed up, now we have to get up. And that is the point where we stop carrying ourselves with our head down and we start carrying ourselves with our head up, and we walk, we get up, we act like we belong, we act like we've made a mistake, we've confessed our mistake, and now we put it behind us. We didn't throw it in our backpack. We put what it was behind us and kept it moving. And the last step in that is we live up. Now that we know better, now that we made this mistake, we've learned from it, we've got up, now we live up. And live up is not repeating the same mistake again. Living up is saying, hey, I've learned from this mistake. I've learned from this situation. I've learned from this error. And now I'm going to live higher. I'm going to elevate higher. And my life is better because I was able to elevate from this situation that could have been, stop me from whatever, being who I wanted to become or believing in myself enough to go try this or try that. But you didn't allow it to stop you. So next time you feel like you want to get down on yourself about a mistake you had, you better remember the framework. You admit that you mess up. Boom, that's your qualification. Now you fess up. You admit that hey, I made a mistake. I got this wrong, whatever. Then you get up. You stop crying. Get up. You can do this. You can be the best version of yourself. And then you live up. And that's the formula. And next time, apply it to your life. And remember, it's very simple. We can do this, but we have to stop putting stuff in our backpacks, and we have to stop letting people, society, anyone else dictate how we see ourselves, because that is not having compassion for ourselves, and that is not treating ourselves like we are someone we love when we allow other people to dictate how we view ourselves. Now, I hope this was useful. I hope this was helpful for you. And I hope that you will take this information and apply it. Just start thinking about, what are you carrying around now that you need to let go of? And apply the 4-step system to whatever it is and move on from it. And I promise you, you will start to feel weight come off your shoulders. You'll start to just feel better about yourself. You can do this. I believe in you, and you are not a victim. All right. This is Jalal Wilson with the Short Men Only podcast. I'll see you next time.